My name is Gracie Nichols, and I'm making a series about how the internet has changed the way that we connect with each other in terms of romantic relationships. My hypothesis is that it has changed the way that we connect with each other, and I also think that it has improved the way that we connect with each other. Some of the questions we're going to address today are: what kind of person is using dating apps, and what big 5 personality traits correlate to dating app usage? How do young people use the internet romantically? And how are dating profiles linked to sexual activity? What kind of person is using dating apps, and what big 5 personality traits correlate to dating app usage? From my previous videos, we know that a ton of people meet through dating platforms. Further studies have shown that people are more likely to be currently using dating platforms if they are single, which is respectable. But as far as who is more likely to have previously used a dating app or a dating site, there's minimal variance between single people versus people in committed relationships. I'm sure you've all heard the stereotype that dating apps are only used for hookups, but if that were the case, then people who have previously used online dating platforms should be single to a larger degree than those who have never used an online dating platform, and that's not the case. People are basically equally likely to be single whether or not they've used a dating platform. 4% of current dating platform users were found to be in a relationship. However, the study that I'm referencing considered current users to be those that had used a dating app or website within the past 3 months. So there's a possibility that they had entered a relationship within the past 3 months and ended their use of the website or app. There's also the potential that they are using the platform to cheat on their partner. Lastly, they could be in an open relationship in which their partner is okay with them being on a dating website or app. Now, this study also examined the correlation between possessing certain big 5 personality traits and the use of a dating platform. The big 5 personality traits are extroversion, agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. After analyzing through a regression model, there was no correlation between having certain traits and the use of a dating platform except with open-mindedness, which turned out to be the only trait that was associated with the current use of dating platforms. One potential reason for the variance in current versus previous use in relation to open-mindedness could be just what they call statistical noise. Otherwise, it's possible that certain aspects of open-mindedness, like better tolerance of change, have a stronger relationship to the criteria referring to the last 3 months. Another thing to consider when talking about changes to our connections is how these changes impact our youth. How do young people use the internet romantically? Now that dating has moved, at least in some sense, online, this makes it more accessible for anyone who is able to use the internet. I believe all the studies I've included thus far have only included participants that are 18 or older because that's typically the youngest age that you can join a dating platform. However, that doesn't stop people that are under 18 from joining. 19% of teens younger than 18 are still creating accounts on these dating platforms against the rules. Around 70% of the minors who have joined these platforms have met up with someone in real life. What I also find interesting is not only is dating changing due to the internet, but flirting is as well. Young teenagers are building relationships online, whether those relationships be friendly or romantic, more and more, even through social media websites. And part of being a young teen is flirting with other young teens, which now they can do online. While some teens consider online dating on a platform to be dangerous and something that should be avoided, others, such as teenagers within the LGBT community or those from rural towns, view this kind of online exploration as a positive thing. The same teens that considered online platforms to be dangerous, though, are likely to feel safer participating in online dating if it begins through a social media platform, which is maybe because they are more familiar with the social media apps. Those under 18 are far more likely to consider dating someone that they met through a social media account over someone they met through an online dating profile. Now, considering adolescent dating, we have to consider adolescent dating violence as well, and it's more common than I'd like to believe. Some studies have found a prevalence of 50% of members of both female and male genders to be a perpetrator or a victim of adolescent dating violence. And that's not necessarily online dating, that's old-fashioned in real-life dating. However, the internet has altered some of those statistics, as a program called Start Strong was started to educate adolescents and young adults about what dating violence looks like and how to handle certain situations in order to promote healthy relationships. The adolescents that participated in the online program rated it an 8.25 out of 10 for reducing violence and an 8.67 for promoting healthy relationships. Now, our final question: how are dating profiles linked to sexual activity? One study in Hong Kong investigated how dating apps impact young adults over 18 and found a significant association between using a dating profile and having unprotected sex with a higher number of lifetime partners, a less consistent use of condoms, and a decreased likelihood of having used a condom during their last sexual encounter. A further study found that dating app users were much more likely to have a prior diagnosis of an STI compared to those that had never used a dating app, and again validated the previous study's findings that young adults on dating platforms tended to have more sexual partners than those that had never used a dating platform. And these aren't the only studies to conclude with this kind of finding, and this isn't the first time I've brought it up in my videos. There seems to be a clear link between using an online dating platform and sexual activity. So I think the findings in this video do support my hypothesis that the internet is changing the way that we connect with each other. It seems like young people are able to educate themselves on how to form healthier relationships, and older young people are able to have more sex. I think for teenagers, the internet is improving how they connect because teenagers from rural areas are able to branch out and meet more people, and teenagers from all over are able to learn about healthy relationships.